Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Lunchtime. I work at a relatively small organization, 60-ish employees in an office environment. I don't work as a cashier, but my office is next to the cashier's desk. Over the past few months I have been dropping off the bank deposit during my lunch break, because the cashiers have been too busy to take it during work hours. This is purely a courtesy to the cashiers and is not required of my job in any way. But I like to help my coworkers when I can. The bank is about 10 minutes away from the office and I'm going to pass it on the way to food anyway, so no big deal. It usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes at the bank, depending on how busy they are, so I account for that and extend my lunch break accordingly. This went on fine for a few weeks, until my boss decided that I was taking too long on my lunch breaks and reminded me that I should not be taking more than an hour. I explained that I was taking the bank deposit as a courtesy, but I may as well have said nothing, because I was once again reminded that I have 1 hour for lunch. I told my boss no problem, I would make sure I am back on time moving forward. Ever since that conversation, my lunch has been exactly 1 hour. As soon as I get back to the office, I get a company vehicle and take the bank deposit on company time. Now, instead of just paying me for the around 15 minutes I'm at the bank, they are paying that plus 20 minutes drive time, and I'm putting unnecessary wear on a company vehicle. It also takes about 5 minutes each day to check out/return the keys to the vehicle. My boss asked me where I had been the first day, and when I explained, she just said okay. I get the feeling she is too proud to admit it was simpler when I was just taking it on my way to lunch, but I'm fine with the extended break. The next story is called Following the Rules. I was working a job on campus that was a tech job, so I was doing it remotely, i.e. from my own dorm room. Why leave the room when I can get paid to sit in my bed and work? So one day I needed to run a huge script that would take a lot of time. I didn't want to block my own laptop for this job because it would prevent me from doing other work as the job was super heavy. I emailed my supervisor asking to use her computer in her office, since she had a few empty cubicles with computers. She wasn't a fan, so I decided I'd discuss it with her when I meet her next. The job wasn't a priority. When I met her a month later, she still didn't understand why I needed a computer. She wasn't a tech person. I was doing tech work for a single project and was the only person doing tech. She just kept saying it wasn't possible. So I decided to not try to explain why it would be better, but act like it's the only option. Given the fact that the scripts sort of touch student data, but not really, I had an idea. I said that FERPA regulations would force me to have to spend money if I had to do it on my laptop, as I'd have to keep it extra secure, etc. Not exactly true, but whatever. This forced her hand, so she buckled in and said she'd get me access to the computer. She said it would be done in a week, so about 10 days later I went to the office to try to use it, but my login didn't work. I spoke to the IT team and found out that she never put in the request. So now for the real fun. I emailed her saying it didn't work. She wasn't in the office, but that I'd try again the next day. I did this every day for about 3 weeks. Suddenly one day I get a call from her. Never happened before, so I was confused. She asked me what the 1 hour every morning was on my timesheet. I stated that it was the time I spent going to her office trying to log in and then it failing, so having to return and try again the next day. She said nothing and just hung up. The next morning I got a call from the IT team stating that the request to give me access to the computer had been received and that the request would be processed in 2 hours. Lo and behold, that afternoon I had an email confirming I had access, and the next morning when I went into the office I had access to the computer. The third story is called Call in Healthy. 4 years ago, corporate introduced a new system for calling in sick. Before, you simply texted/called anyone on your team and they told everyone at the morning meeting. You now had to call a service, wait in a line on the phone and then speak to a nurse. This results in an automated email to your manager saying employee X is out sick and is expected back in Y days. The first time I got sick after this, I realized what a pain the phone call was. When I got back to work, nothing happened for a few days, but then the HR rep in my department came into my office and told me I had to also call in healthy. Okay, I called in healthy. I then called payroll as I didn't want to have an issue with the extra sick leave. Payroll told me that the system was not integrated with the call service for sick leave, they only used the regular timesheets. I now realized that this system was just to gather statistics and had no practical use. This kind of set me off, since the old system worked just as great for my team and was easier to deal with. So the next time I got sick, I called in using the service. This time I was sick for over 7 days, which meant that the system sent HR a reminder that I needed a doctor's note. I think this is what caused HR to come by the last time I was sick. I had a doctor's note when I got back to work, but I never called in healthy. The system didn't send out any more emails. This was in 2019. Last week, corporate gave a presentation on healthy work life, which basically went over sick leave statistics and showed their target goals of how low it should be. All of the goals were met in 2021, except for the average number of sick days per employee. They also had a scatter plot graph over the distribution of sick leave. There was a big blob between 0 and 10, and some dots leading up to 30, and then nothing, aside from one dot all the way out on the edge at 365. I did the math in my head, and if my 365 had been the actual number it was supposed to be, all metrics would have been met, and the VP that pushed for this would probably get a bigger bonus. I couldn't stop smiling. The next story is called Read the Contract. My mom rents out 2 houses. One is the house she bought when she married her first husband. One is the house her first husband lived in after they divorced. When he died, my brother inherited it. I'm from the second marriage, and he asked my mom to manage it. Both houses are rented out to the city they are located in, and they use it as social housing. Because of this, they pay less rent than is usual for this area. But to make up for that, they have pretty unique clauses in their contract, e.g. that they are responsible to fix anything that wasn't caused by weather. That's not legal to do in a contract with private persons, but since the renter is the city, it's legal. Recently, the city approached my mom. They told her that some appliances broke, and since the people living there didn't notify the city immediately, water seeped into the walls and caused mold to form within the walls. They assumed that the same rules as for private renters would apply to them, and demanded that my mom should renovate. My mom told them that they should have a look into their contract. Point 4, sentence 2. Yes, she even gave them the exact sentence they should look at. They insisted and also told her that she needed to hire companies that work with the city to do the renovation, because they would only trust those companies. My mom then asked if that means they are delegating the organization to her and are unwilling to work with any other companies. As they said yes, she acted. She organized everything and let the bills be sent to the city. The city returned the bills, stating that mom has to pay them. My mom sent them a copy of the contract with the applying sentences highlighted, and told them if they refused to pay, she'd have to go to a lawyer and those costs would add to that. The city denied any responsibility for paying. They took it to court, where, because our courts are notoriously overrun with cases, an out-of-court settlement was advised. When presented with everything, the person from the court told the city they are definitely in the wrong. But then the city said that my mom deliberately chose the most expensive companies and they would only pay for a part of the bill because of that. Well, my mom had it in writing that they ordered her which companies to hire, so that was quickly resolved. Had they told my mom, "Listen, could you organize it and have the bills sent to us?" she'd have picked companies with about half the cost. But well, that's life. The last story is called You Need a Cone. I worked for an irrigation company years ago, sprinkler systems. In our part of the world, winters can be cold, so we perform what is known as winterization. This consists of shutting off the water for a customer's sprinklers and then blowing air into the pipe/sprinkler heads via a pull-behind compressor. The ones we rented were painted bright orange, so you could see me from a long way off. One of the allotments we worked in had a few guys that were sticklers for rules. Trucks parked on the street had to have orange cones behind them to help alert residents driving through there that workers were present. For what I do, I never have to park on the street, except during winterizations. I hadn't thought to throw a cone in my truck because the compressor is already bright orange and behind my truck. So, early into the winterization season, I parked out on the street with no cone behind my truck. An SUV pulls up as I'm getting my stuff ready. One of the security guys says, "Where's your cone?" I said, "I don't have one." I figured the big orange compressor was warning enough. "Nope, you need a cone behind it." I told him I'd get one once I left and would keep it with me for the season. I went back to the shop and found a type of fitting that we use for pond pumps. It's about 4 inches tall and is cone shaped. Grabbed some orange turf marking paint and gave it a couple of coats. Now my truck had an orange cone and I was compliant with the rules. About a week goes by before I was back in that allotment. I pulled up in front of my customer's house and out went my tiny little orange cone to sit behind my big old orange compressor. Security is out doing the rounds, and I later saw one of the trucks pull up alongside me, look at the 4-inch cone and bust up laughing. He pulled off, and nobody gave me any more trouble about cones in that allotment again that year. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.